Welcome to Across Africa, France 24's weekly roundup from across the continent. Coming up this week, the decades-old struggle for an independent Biafran state in southeastern Nigeria continues. We hear from some of the activists who claim that the central government treats them like second-class citizens. Also, the world marked International Day Against Homophobia on Tuesday. We met some of those in Tunisia's gay community struggling under stigma. And as movie makers and shakers from around the world gathered here in France for the iconic Cannes Film Festival, we heard from some African up-and-comers about their hopes and screen projects. Well, first, a Nigerian separatist group has said that a state crackdown on rallies has strengthened the resolve of supporters of an independent Biafran state. Members of the indigenous people of Biafra movement allege that dozens of activists have been killed and many more injured in protests since November last year.
26-year-old Chinedu Iwu fights for a dream some thought had been crushed in 1970, Biafra's independence from Nigeria. The territory, mainly populated by the Igbo people, has long had a difficult relationship with the central government. Moses says police have been heavy-handed with separatists.
We are there protesting. We are not even holding any arms. We are there jubilation, singing Biafra song, IPOP, One Family, and our Biafra song. So we have an attack with army people. Unfortunately, when I want to run, they shot my leg, and I fell down.
Just like Iwu, many people in the southeastern region feel treated like second-class citizens, especially since the northerner Muhammadu Buhari was elected president.
We are Nigerians and we still believe that we are Nigerians. If they thought that we are not qualified to be in this country, they should let us go and be on our own. We cannot say we are one, but we are being intimidated. The government should do something to stop the intimidation and humiliation and destroying of our property, our life.
In October, the arrest of the secessionist leader Nnamdi Kanu on charges of treason prompted outrage among activists. In recent months, dozens have been killed during clashes between authorities and separatists. Some fear the violence could flare almost 50 years after the end of the Civil War, which killed over 1 million people.
Well, Tuesday marked International Day Against Homophobia. We take a look now at some of the challenges faced by the LGBT community in Tunisia, where being open about their sexuality is still fraught with risk.
Mehdi is 19. He lives in the Tunisian coastal city of Bizerte and will finish high school this year. Mehdi is also gay. Because of this, he lives a double life to hide his sexuality. Under Tunisian law, homosexuality can be punished by up to 3 years imprisonment.
In
Tunisia, homosexuals are forced to have two faces, to live a double life. When you are with people like yourself, you can act normally. You are free to do whatever you want. It's comfortable. But when you are among other people, people who are different from you, straight people, you have to behave like them. You can't show that you're different, or they might become violent. And we also face another important threat, the law.
Publicly discussing homosexuality in Tunisia was unthinkable before the revolution. Today, it has become a topic of debate within some rights organizations and even on television. Shams was the first North African NGO to include the defense of sexual minorities under its mandate. It calls for the penal code to be modified.
Today, the top priority for us is the repeal of Article 230. This article, which dates back to 1913, is backward and oppressive. It says that homosexuals can be jailed for 3 years just because of who they are. This is contrary to the Constitution and to international conventions ratified by Tunisia.
Several Tunisian men were convicted this year on homosexuality charges. The procedure involves a compulsory anal test, which rights groups describe as a form of torture. One of the main obstacles to a change in the law is the conservative nature of Tunisian society.
What hinders the repeal of Article 230 are the deeply rooted sociocultural constraints that are anchored in religious traditions. Today, being homosexual is criminalized and considered as something illicit.
The increasingly public debate is the first step to improving conditions for Tunisia's LGBT community, but an actual change in the law remains a distant prospect.
Now, Madagascar may not have a formal design school, but that hasn't put off creatives who want to make their ideas a reality. Many make it up as they go along, using local materials, recycled textiles, and a bit of artful invention.
Trendy purses made entirely by hand, and bow ties like you've never seen before. Manuela Rakotomanga has been managing the Allege fashion label for 3 years. She now employs a dozen designers whom she had to train herself.
The difficult part of being an entrepreneur is reaching a point where you can hire professionals. Because today, for example, we have a lot of workers who learned how to crochet from their mothers, but they don't necessarily know proper crocheting techniques.
Mais elles ne savent pas forcément les techniques pour crocheter.
Performer and stylist Sasha Bambam specializes in costumes for stage and screen. Aside from a few sewing classes, she's completely untrained, yet she single-handedly dresses some of Madagascar's most popular performers.
At the moment, we don't have a real design school here. There are schools for tailors and seamstresses where you can learn the basics. But when I wanted to create my own style, I had to hustle and figure it out on my own.
Nani Andriansifern created her label Vice Local in 2013. Today she has her own workshop with 6 employees. And like other young designers, she often needs to make the most of what's at hand.
On recycle énormément, côté chaussures, côté...
We recycle a lot. Second-hand shoes, second-hand accessories, but we try to do our best. You will never notice that your shoes are used, but in fact most of the materials used are recycled.
Il y a la moitié des matières qui sont recyclées.
Manuela's designs are sold in France and India, and Nani has found clients in nearby Mauritius. With a stitch here and a hustle there, these young creators are now hoping to conquer the fashion world, one design at a time.
Here in France, up-and-coming talent from around the world has been trying to grab their share of the limelight at the Cannes Film Festival. They're looking for funding, contacts, and the means to one day get themselves into the official selections. Well, our team met with one Zimbabwean couple with a very personal project to sell.
At a cocktail party.
Yeah. Ben and Tapiwa have come halfway around the world from Zimbabwe to Cannes to tell a story, the story of their marriage. Their union is legal, but not recognised by Tapiwa's family, and the social cost is heavy, leaving her cut off from her relatives.
My film is a personal story that at the same time highlights the fact that women in Zimbabwe should be free to do what they want, because the law in my country says they can do what they want. So that's what my film is about. It's a woman being able to have a place in society.
11,000 kilometres from home, Tapiwa and Ben have been selected for a special programme to nurture new talents. They are here for 10 days to make the contacts that could turn a documentary dream into reality.
So you meet all the people who really matter as far as helping you to shape your story, finding finance, and contacts really, exchanging with other filmmakers.
Half the world of cinema is currently in town, so the pressure is on to stand out. Today, the duo are getting 15 minutes to present their vision to movie professionals and potential backers. At this early stage, there's no trailer as such, just some rushers for the audience to judge by. There's plenty of feedback, including from the influential Ford Charitable Foundation.
So you could script it a little bit,
yeah.
And have yourself be an actor in it.
It's nerve-wracking, exhausting, but potentially life-changing. A kind of cinematic speed dating that might one day put Tapiwa and Ben's story on the Cannes big screen.
Well, while we're talking movies, half a century of African filmmaking is the theme of this year's New York African Film Festival. The event honours the father of African cinema, Senegalese pioneer Ousmane Sembène, whose masterpiece, Black Girl, clinched a trophy in Cannes back in 1966. From feature films and shorts to documentaries, the festival showcases the work of a new generation of African movie makers.
An African film festival in the heart of New York. With 52 movies from 26 countries, this event allows cinema lovers to discover original pictures and do what big screen aficionados love to do, talk about movies.
New York is really an international community, so having that engagement with audiences is so, I can't tell you enough how much they express the importance of them having those post-screening discussions.
Do you really need to ask?
Jimmy Jean-Louis is the lead actor in The Cursed Ones.
Look around.
A picture shot in the small village of Ghana. Jean-Louis says Nollywood still dominates the African movie industry, but other nations like South Africa and Senegal play a supporting role.
Superstition, we call it.
You have a handful of great filmmakers. Well, the actors are good, depending on how they're being directed. The technicians are getting there, and also because the cameras are a lot easier to get now compared to 10 years ago. It's easier to have quality movies than what they used to do 10, 15 years ago.
But the new technologies that have made filmmaking more affordable have also made traditional movie theaters redundant. In many parts of Africa, going to the movies is no longer a thing.
The heart of Africa is lacking theaters. You know, Congo doesn't have any, Cameroon doesn't have any, Senegal has a few, Ivory Coast a few. So it's not enough. You know, we need to build that infrastructure, and I guess that is up to us.
International festivals like this one give artists a shot at exposure they may not get at home, and New Yorkers a front row seat for African drama.
Well, that's it for Across Africa for this week. Thanks very much for joining us, and please do so again if you can. Take care.